Winter is still in full effect here in Connecticut, and I am inside cooking up a storm. But lately I'm a little tired of the heavy meats and creamy pastas, so I want to try something lighter and delicious and vegetarian. I'm trying to adhere to Meatless Mondays all year long. For my eggplant involtini, the first thing I do is steep bulgur wheat in hot water. This softens it up. Then I assemble the things that will be added into the bulgur wheat when it's ready and leave it to steep covered by a plate for at least a half an hour. Next, I cut my eggplant into 1/4 inch thick slices. Then I brush both sides with olive oil and grill it on the stovetop grill pan. If you don't have a grill pan, you can just use a regular sauté pan and it will work just as well. Since you use quite a bit of olive oil for this, I find that the best thing to do is put the olive oil in a bowl and then use a brush to brush it on the eggplant. I use a silicone brush, but any kind of brush will do. When you grill the eggplants, they should be bronzed on both sides and cooked through. In the recipe, when you roll them up, they need to be very solidly cooked through so that they are completely flexible. In this case, I let them be a little uncooked in the center because I put them in the oven and bake them. As the first slices get finished, place them in the bottom of a deep baking dish that's lined with a little bit of olive oil to prevent sticking. Then grill up the other ones while you're doing this and reserve them on a plate covered with a paper napkin to drain. In this case, I had to take a quick break and go pick up my daughter from school and then put her down for a quick nap. It was okay because this was a wonderful stopping point in the recipe. The eggplant was cooling and the bulgur wheat was still steeping. Then when we got back, I drained the bulgur wheat in a sieve and pressed out all the water. I added the bulgur wheat back into the mixing bowl and added the feta, scallions, and garlic and mixed it well. You could add almost anything to this mixture. Sometimes I add dried cranberries or raisins, or you could add lemon zest and currants. I also added the pistachios after I mixed in the scallions and garlic and feta. This lends a nice amount of crunch. I buy my pistachios already shelled at Trader Joe's. It saves a lot of time. Once I didn't have any feta, so I used goat cheese instead, and that worked really well too. It's a little creamier, so you have to cut down the portions just a little bit. And while you're adding everything, be sure to reserve a little bit of feta and a few pistachios, because you're going to want them to sprinkle on top. Mix everything together really well. Then whisk together the egg and the cinnamon. This will help bind the bulgur wheat mixture so that it's more like a lasagna filling than just a loose salad. When the cinnamon and the egg is fully incorporated, pour it into the bulgur wheat mixture and mix it all together. Use your hands to test. Little balls should form when you pinch everything together and the filling should bind nicely. Then you're ready to assemble your dish. In the Nigella recipe, what she does is rolls up each slice of eggplant with a little bit of the bulgur wheat mixture, but I decided to make it more like a lasagna sandwich. I spooned the mixture evenly on top of all the eggplant slices, then covered them with the second set of eggplant slices. Finally, I scattered on some of the remaining feta and the remaining pistachios. Then I drizzled the whole thing with some delicious, organic, store-bought marinara sauce. You can also use anything you have in your freezer that's homemade. It will taste wonderful. Just try not to get anything that is too flavored or it will mute the flavors of the feta and bulgur wheat mixture, which is delicious. By the time everything was assembled, my daughter was back awake, and it was time for Thomas the Tank Engine. That evening, I preheated the oven and baked the casserole for about 30 minutes, and everything was ready. It was delicious, hot and bubbly, and I served it with a side of bread and a nice salad. It was a nice, light dinner that was still warm and hearty. It was a great break from the meats and the pastas, and we had a wonderful vegetarian meal. I'm Kelsey the Naptime Chef. Thanks for watching. I look forward to cooking with you again soon.